Hello, gorgeous heartbeat, and welcome to Heartbeats Harbor. I'm your host, Brianna Hozak, and I'm here to shine the light on the shadow path we walk as heartbeat women. Women rising into leadership roles as lightworkers, changemakers, worldshakers, or as I call us, heartbeats, do not have an easy path to walk. It often feels lonely, painful, and unique, but I'm here to help you see how very not alone you are, and how beautiful the shadows surrounding you actually are when you love and integrate them on your healing journey. I create spaces and opportunities for women to step into deeper self-awareness, self-acceptance, and personal healing, community and sacred circles, as well as leadership of themselves, their families, their communities, and beyond. My business and my life is and always will be about massive change in the ways things are done around the world. I believe it's a big part of my purpose on this planet to be a voice for those who don't have one, a safe harbor for those who need one, and a beacon of light to inspire a better way. None of this is easy. I've learned that big impact requires bold action and delusional levels of confidence, as well as a ton of shadow work. If you love what you hear on this podcast and you want to be part of the growing, supportive online village of Heartbeats Harbor, make sure you join my Facebook group, which is linked below in the show notes. Now, I can't wait to get started, so let's turn on the lights. Hello, gorgeous heartbeat. Welcome to the third episode of the Heartbeats Harbor podcast. I love you. I really do. You'll hear me say that a lot, and it's because it's true. You might be wondering if I'm crazy, but I promise you I'm not. Even if I've never met you, I do love you. A lot. Okay, sorry, I had to rhyme there. In my human design, I'm not sure exactly which part, it actually says that I have something about me that literally loves and accepts everyone just as they are, that loves the weird and wacky. It comes to me naturally. So I guarantee you that I'm over here loving you. I also logically love you because you are worthy of that love. We all are. Period. If you're a human being, you are worthy of that love. Inherently, unequivocally, inarguably worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of joy. You're worthy of gentleness. You are worthy of kindness. You're worthy of honesty. You are worthy of generosity. There is nothing that you aren't worthy of. You are so freaking worthy. Why am I railing on about this? Well, because it's in our nature to doubt it, to fear that it isn't the case. We so easily believe that we don't deserve, that we aren't enough, that we aren't worthy. Many of us grew up under guilt-led parenting, things that made us feel like if we didn't meet certain abstract requirements, we weren't good enough. But I'm saying to you now, you were. Whoever told you that or implied it had their own worthiness wounds and didn't know better. They said it because they had their own triggers that made them feel less than and not enough. But they were enough. If they had trusted it and leaned into their own worthiness, you would have known that they were enough, and so were you. You may disagree. Maybe your parents were abusive. Maybe you were adopted and you feel your birth parents didn't want you. Maybe you were teased no matter where you went or who you were around, and you've decided since you're the common denominator, it's because you actually deserve it and are inherently not worthy. But you were, are, and always will be worthy. If this triggers you, you're welcome. That tells you what you need to look at and what you can work on healing. The way people treated you was not an indicator of your worthiness. It was an indicator of how they felt about themselves deep down. When you catch yourself passing that along, repeating patterns, maybe behaving as though your own children aren't worthy, or the employee at the store is less than you, or the beggar on the street isn't worthy of a smile, it's not an indicator of their worthiness. It's an indicator of how you feel about yourself. It's a reflection that tells you where you still have room to learn, love, and grow. If you can wrap your mind fully around this perspective, very quickly you will progress from "I'm not worthy" to "How could they treat me that way if I'm worthy?" Kind of a "how dare they" feeling. Then, as you continue following that line of thought, you'll arrive at, "Oh, wow, how must they have felt about themselves to do that to me?" And you'll feel compassion for them. And then, just as quickly, you'll move on to, "Oh shit, the other day when I XYZ, I did that too. How could I?" But the point here is not to go from blaming yourself to blaming them and then right back to blaming yourself, angry with yourself again. No. Instead, say this: I am worthy. They were worthy. They are worthy. We are worthy. It's okay. The past is past, but I get to know my worth now, and I can help others see theirs too. I am worthy. We are all always doing our best with what we know, understand, and believe, as well as with the tools we have access to at any given moment of our lives. And remember, you aren't alone. I grew up with high expectations that were so much for me, I chose not to meet them. I married a man whose expectations were impossible to meet because when you met them, he'd just raise the bar. And then I caught myself expecting too much of my kids. Face palm. But beating myself up over it just made me feel worse, and honestly, it made me behave worse. The fix is in forgiving yourself. You made a mistake, and now you'll do better. I made a mistake, and now I do better. Holding on to anger at people who hurt us doesn't accomplish what we want it to either. They won't feel it, they won't know about it, and even if you tell them, it won't change them. You can't change anyone but yourself. Forgiving them doesn't excuse the pain you received from them, physical or otherwise. It allows you to release the pain finally and stop hurting. And if you can realize that they are also always worthy, then you can see how their life may have caused them to react and behave in the way that they did without having that knowledge of their own and your inherent worthiness. If you can realize that even when you have made mistakes, you didn't become less worthy, then it's much easier to realize that when they made mistakes that hurt you, they were still worthy, and so were you. And no matter how large or horrible their mistakes, that fact doesn't change. This in no way excuses abuse or makes what happened okay, or lessens the trauma that you've experienced from it or them. It simply allows you to heal and move forward. Again, forgiving them does not give them the "what you did was okay" pass that it can sometimes feel like it gives them. It simply allows you to let go and move forward with your life. You can forgive yourself for all the years you didn't know better and choose to move forward in a different way. So let's explore this statement. You are worthy no matter what. We all are. Why might someone say this? For those with a religious background, you may have been told this message, whether you believe it or not, through the words, "You are a child of God," or even had it hinted at through being one of God's creations. If you're a spiritualist and you believe that we are all one, then you know none of us can be less than or more than anyone else. We are all part of source energy and therefore equal to and with it. So of course we're worthy. You've likely heard these things, these concepts, but you haven't integrated them. Or maybe you have, and I'm just confirming what you already know. But if you haven't, I am begging you, take the time and instead of quickly moving on to the next thing, sit with the thought, why am I worthy? What do I believe? And what if you don't believe in anything beyond this life? No God, no source, no higher power, no anything of the sort. And maybe you even feel like this life is random and what you or anyone else does doesn't actually matter in the scheme of things. Then I ask you, what do you want to feel? What feels better, when someone's unkind to you or when someone's thoughtful? When someone teases you or when someone compliments you? So what if there's no punishment or consequences or results of your behavior in an afterlife? Don't you want to feel good now? So does everyone else. And you can. Just decide that you're worthy and that everyone else is too, and act accordingly. I know, easier said than done. The next thing that comes up is, well, what if I do and no one else does? And it's a legitimate worry. You may behave according to these principles and then have other people mistreat you anyway. But here's the thing. Someone has to start a movement. It doesn't just happen on its own. There's no magic pill that we can give everyone to behave the way we want them to. And if we could, it would remove free will, and that's not what we want either. We must lead by example. And when I ask you to do this, I'm not asking you to do it alone. I'm doing it, and there are many others doing it as well, believing and behaving as though we are all worthy. When I ask you to believe it and behave as though it's true, you only have to join in with what others are already doing. If you feel like you'd be alone in it, make sure you start building your support network now. I have an amazing group of women online who are so welcoming and warm and will help you remember how worthy you are in every interaction with them inside my Facebook community. If you need that support network, it's an incredible place to start. Just hit the link in the show notes and you can join us. And I am asking you to do this. Step into your worthiness. Don't just listen to this episode and then go about your day as though nothing has changed. What a waste of time that would be. No, you can't unknow what you know now. And when we know better, we do better. So I'm asking you to do better. Are you panicking right now? Does it feel like I just asked something massive of you? Don't worry. Breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Slowly. Hakuna Matata, okay? One thing at a time, and you work from wherever you're starting from. In general, though, we start within. Start with you. That's all you have to do. Repeat to yourself, I am worthy no matter what. Make it an affirmation that you repeat daily, hourly, whatever. Say, I am so grateful that I'm worthy no matter what, and forgive yourself when you make a mistake. Put reminders around your house, your vehicle, in notebooks, etc. that say, I am so freaking worthy. Set alarms on your phone as many times a day as you like to remind you that you are so freaking worthy. If you hurt someone else with your mistakes, go back later with a little humility and say, I'm sorry for XYZ. You didn't deserve that. You are worthy of better treatment, and I am worthy of better behavior. When you feel uncertain about if you deserve something, say, I am worthy. When you feel like you aren't as good as someone else, say, I'm worthy. Put that lens over your eyes and start to see everything through its filter every time that you remember. And don't beat yourself up when you forget. Just do it again. Say, I am still worthy. I am still worthy. There is not a limit to how many times you can start again or an amount you should be able to master it after. There is nothing to prove, nothing to do. Just be you, because you are worthy. As you integrate and begin to believe this and start to remind yourself consistently, you'll automatically move on to the next step, where you realize that if you're worthy, so is everyone else. And that will make it easier to treat them the way they deserve to be treated, since they're worthy. And as you practice treating others as the worthy beings that they are, you will begin to notice that they return the treatment. We've all heard the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And when they return the treatment, you will feel more worthy, and it will get easier to behave as your worthy self and treat others as their worthy selves. And the upward spiral continues. And then one day, you might notice an icky feeling that crops up when you think of something that happened to you in the past. And you won't want to think about it because it will feel so yucky compared to how you usually feel now that you already know that you're worthy. In fact, it will possibly feel worse than it used to when you thought about it and thought things like, I deserved that. But at this point, I want you to realize that it will keep cropping up until you look at it. And that is when the forgiveness part really kicks in. And I won't lie, that part can be really stinking hard. I highly recommend that you have help at that point, from a coach, a therapist, a healer, a mentor, a community, whatever works best for you. And other things tie in here, of course, like learning to set boundaries to prevent repeat traumas and so on. But staying on track here, because all of that will come in time. And if that's a scary thought, I promise you that you will be able to handle it when the time comes, because you're building the stamina for it right now. Every time you remind yourself that you're worthy, you build stamina. It won't come until you're ready for it to arrive. And when it arrives, if it still feels scary, just know that spirit, God, source, goddess, whatever, will not give you more than you can handle. Call on your support network. They're part of how you handle it and how you're supposed to handle it. And know that you are held through it. Remember, we aren't meant to do this alone. So whether you join my Facebook group or someone else's or an in-person group or whatever, grow your village, build your network, create your circle, use the tools available, and then you'll be ready. You will know without a doubt how worthy you are the first time that a battalion of women rallies to your aid when you call on that village. Trigger warning here, skip the next 20 seconds-ish to pass it by. Once, I put the call out in my circles for healing energy when a mother contacted me saying her teenage son had attempted suicide and was in the hospital. Dozens of women put their energy into it, prayed, sent healing, and cared. And that woman attributes her son's health turning around quickly to all the women who stood up and became the village he needed in that moment. You are so freaking worthy. Just start repeating it to yourself. That's all I ask. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe to be notified of new episodes. If you really love it here and want to help spread the light, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. They help so much. If you love listening and want to be part of the interactive and incredible online community we're growing, make sure you click the link in the description box and join the Facebook group. I promise you it is not like other groups you've been in. Hope to meet you there soon, and I'll be talking to you next week, sending you all my love from my heartbeat to yours.